Okay, hi everyone. This is Julia from Engineering. I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar on mechanical decoking, or also known as pigging, which is a method that helps optimize furnace and fire heater tubes. In this webinar, Marina, our business development manager, and Siva, our sales engineer, will explain the coke formation process, present the methods of cleaning, and elaborate on the pigging system. Just to go over a few technical aspects of the webinar, you can see a Q&A box on the right-hand side of the screen. So at any point of this webinar, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to type your question in the Q&A box. We will be addressing these questions at the end of the webinar. So just to share a little bit about Manseong Engineering Limited is one of the leading construction and integrated maintenance solution providers. We offer a range of mechanical, electrical, and instrumentation services for oil and gas, petrochemical, energy, chemicals, power, and also pharmaceutical industries. We provide engineering design, plant construction projects, which include off-site prefabrication, on-site fabrication works, including mechanical works for piping, hand construction, fixed equipment, rotating equipment installation, steel erection, and also electrical and instrumentation installation. We have over 50 years of solid experience providing term maintenance, turnaround, shutdown, and integrated maintenance of plants and equipment. We provide exclusive products and specialized services to meet the needs and demands of our clients, such as high-pressure water jetting, retubing, bundle fabrication, and we have been providing mechanical decoking or pigging for over 40 years in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and India. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to our first webinar speaker, Marina.
Hi, everyone. So as you know, a furnace is one of the most critical equipment in a plant because it needs to efficiently transfer the thermal energy between the furnace tube and the process fluid. But often the refiners will face a loss of heat transfer due to coke formation inside the tube, and this badly impacts the plant efficiency and profitability. But unfortunately, the coke formation cannot be avoided because the cracking process itself engenders coke formation. So basically, when the oil molecules are heated to a high temperature, these subsequently cause the coke formation on the tube's inner surface. So after initial formation of coke, then it's like a vicious circle that begins, in which more and more coke is laid down because the coking rate increases with the temperature in the tubes, and then it keeps on depositing on the hotter layer of the existing layer of coke. So these layers of coke will subsequently increase the tube metal temperature in order to maintain the amount of heat transfer to the flowing fluid. And the danger is that at some point, the tube metal temperature will reach the pipe metallurgical limit, which will cause a rapid scaling of the metal and also the possible tube failure. Now, fouling buildup is actually also a function of several parameters. For example, the crude oil's API value and viscosity, and also operating parameters like high furnace outlet temperature, the low fluid mass velocity, loss of velocity steam, and also uneven heat distribution, which is causing then the hot spots, inside the furnace, and also fluid residence time above the cracking threshold. And actually, the heater design affects the localized formation of coke through its influence on the oil residence time and film temperature. So like sometimes, there will be localized hotspots that develop on tube where flame impingement or like partial loss of flow has occurred. And then in that case, the failure is a foreseeable outcome. So with that being said, it is critical to schedule a shutdown to remove the coke inside the fire heater tubes and to choose the most efficient and safe method to increase the flow, restore the heater tube's efficiency, also lower the temperature differential needed to heat the fluid, lower the heat on pipe OD, and well, the aim is basically just to avoid the costly outages caused by unplanned shutdowns, loss of production, property damage, and material and resource mobilization required to restore the heater back in service. So when it comes to remove the coke, okay, there are three generally accepted industrial practices, like steam air decoking, online spalling, and then mechanical pigging, which is the service that we provide. So now let's compare these methods. Okay, in a steam air decoking, a steam and air mixture is passed through the coke deposit inside the coil walls. Then shrinkage and cracking of the coke will occur by heating the coils from the outside, while the steam and air flow through the coils. So the advantage of this technology is that it can clean the radiant tubes effectively, but on the other hand, we will notice that there will be an incomplete removal of coke, shorter run lengths that will result in higher recleaning, and the air and steam ratio needs to be watched very carefully to prevent the overheating the tubes with accelerated combustion that will cause the tube erosion. And this method is actually harmful for the environment because the chemical reaction of hot coke, steam, and air that produce CO, CO2, and H2 gases will be vented to the atmosphere. Okay, for online spalling, this process is normally used in one furnace at a time of a multi-furnace coker, while the other furnace remains in service. This procedure uses a high-velocity steam or boiler feed water while thermally contracting and expanding the tubes. So by varying the feed water flow rates on the foul coil, the coke will spal off the coil. So the advantage of this method is that it allows the coker to continue in operation while the furnace tubes are being cleaned. It's also effective in removing coke in the lower radiant section of the heater, and there is less environmental issues than a steam air decoking. But actually this method also has drawbacks, right? So actually this operation needs to walk through the process very carefully, like it would require a detailed MOC. And it's not very effective for removing inorganic solids, like in the convection section of the heater. So then other methods like steam air decoking and mechanical pigging are still required to bring the furnace back to the start of run conditions. And also, if spalling is done too aggressively, the coils are susceptible to be damaged due to the contraction and expansion during the spalling process. And also, there is a risk of plugging the coil if there is too much coke in the tubes. So I would say that normally 1/4 to 1/2 inch should be the maximum thickness. And return bend in the heater and the 90-degree bend directly outside the heater need to be thicker to prevent erosion from spalling the coke. Okay, so now the third method is mechanical decoking or pigging. So this is a process of propelling a pig through a coil with the help of a pig launcher for the purpose of cleaning or also inspection of the coil. And a pig is a device inserted into a pipe that will run freely through the pipe driven by the motive fluid. Then there is the pigging assembly that consists of a mobile pumping unit, a pig launcher or receiver, the pigs, pumps, and the motive fluid storage tank. So the number of pigging cycle is equal to the number of passes in the furnace. The pigs will travel inside the heater tubes forward and backward, scraping the coke with our bidirectional process until the tubes are restored to its original condition. So basically this method is the most effective and faster cleaning process. So you'll get a cleaner, a smoother tube, like coke, inorganics, and obstructions will be removed, including in new bends. And comparatively longer run lengths are achieved. And it's also environmentally very friendly because the debris are collected. It eliminates the polluting emissions. And also there is no tube damage, like especially avoiding internal erosion damage to U-bends due to, like is the case with the high temperature operations. So for this method, it's extremely important to choose an experienced and established pigging contractor, like Manxiong, to utilize the most suitable pigs to safely and efficiently remove organic and inorganic deposits. Well, our pigs are not the standard hardcore scraper pigs, right? We have a unique design and material that combines strength and flexibility to produce consistently a thorough cleaning without damaging the tubes. Okay, now let's have a look to our equipment. So to perform mechanical pigging, we are equipped with our decoking machines. So we currently have 5 units and we have been providing services in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, and Thailand for many years. So we have a double pumper unit, which is a 40-feet box container and composed of 3 compartments. So at the back, there are the diesel engine and pumps. Then in the middle part, we have the clean water and effluent water tanks. So the capacity for clean water tank is 15 cubic meter and effluent water tank is 10 cubic meter. And then in the front part, there is the operating room to basically operate the pumps and the valves. And also like it's portable. And our machine incorporates the latest measurement technology for accurate pressure and flow rate detection and comparison to allow the operator to monitor the whole operation, and also the data is recorded. Okay, then we have the launcher and the receivers. So pig launchers are funnel Y-shaped sections of the pipe that are used to push the pig into the coil with the head of water at a high pressure. So the main purpose here is to provide in a safe manner and without flow interruption the means to either insert and launch a pig into a tube at pig launcher end and receive and retrieve a pig from a tube at pig receiver end. So the launching station is closed and the pressure-driven flow of water is used to push the pig along the heater tubes until it reaches the pig receiver. So we have different launcher receiver sizes ranging from 4-inch to 10-inch ID. And then we need some clearance from inlet and outlet so that we can install them. The launcher has to be installed 1.5 meter over the ground or platform, and then also 1 meter away from any obstacles. Okay, so when it comes to the pigs, in the decoking process, our experts will select the suitable pig type and size. So pig design is actually crucial in order to achieve the better results without any damage on the tube wall. So our pigs are basically flexible and durable. So they will be installed manually into a tube from one end, and then we'll apply the pressure by water force to clean the coke and scale deposits from one end to the other end. So our pigs can be classified in 3 types. So we have the foam pig, the scraper pig, and then the swap pig. So for the foam pig, or also called sizing or tracer pig, so this is a primary pig that we usually launch into the furnace tubes with the help of the launcher to analyze the condition of the tubes, like any mechanical obstruction or coke deposit, and also to analyze the thickness of coke and even its location. So our experienced team will identify the coke deposits and condition of the tube. And based on that, the operator will decide what will be the size of the subsequent pig that will be launched for further cleaning. So this is a medium density pig, and we also have different sizes available ranging from 3-inch to 12-inch. Okay, the scraper pig is the main pig to remove the hard coke in the tubes. So the core is made of polyurethane and it's a high density pig. Okay. The tips around the surface are made of tungsten carbide. So once the operator decides on the size of the pig, the scraper pig will be propelled through the tubes with the appropriated pressure, which is normally 150 to 200 psi to remove the coke. Okay, so we can clean the tubes ranging from 3-inch to 12-inch ID. So after thoroughly cleaning the tubes and ensuring that all the coke has been removed, we will use the last one, which will be the swap pig, to ensure the cleanliness is here. So the operator will, will find any coke residues, and he will continue the cleaning process until there is no coke residues on the surface of the pig. And finally, once the cleaning is completed, the operator will install the swap to flush out all the loose debris from the coil. So the swap pig is a low density sponge type pig. Okay, we can also use a size that is 2-inch bigger than the tube ID, so that it will tight fit along the tube and remove the debris and also the effluent water. So some of the clients they want to remove the water from the heater after the cleaning. So then we will launch this swap pig and use compressed air, like instead of water, to push and remove all the water from the tubes. And so this is also why we call the dewatering pig. Okay, so with this, I will now hand over to Siva, who will explain more about the pigging system and the cleaning process.
Thank you, Marina. Okay, this schematic diagram shows a typical single pass cleaning method for illustration. So our system basically consists of a diesel engine, water pumps, launcher and receiver, clean water tank, effluent water tank, and a pressure chart recorder, operator control panel, and etc. So usually once the plant owners hand over the heater to us for the cleaning, so our crew set up the launcher and receivers to the inlet and outlet of the heater tubes, then other connections to be installed, and then we'll be fill up with the heater tubes with the water. Then we use the high flow rate to flush out to remove any debris inside the tube. At the same time, we will conduct the initial flow and pressure test as well. So advantage of our decoking machine, it has a double pumping unit so that our crew can perform the cleaning 2 passes concurrently in order to optimize the time. You can see in this diagram, once we set up the launcher and receiver, the pig will be placed into the launcher side. Then operator will open the valve number 3 and 2, and valve number 1 and 4 remains closed. When we apply the initial water pressure, then the pig will travel from the launcher to receiver. So once the pig reaches to the receiver, the crew will be examine the pig condition, how much the coke deposits inside the tube and everything. So during this cleaning, the pig travel through the furnace tubes. The water will be returned to the same water tank as a machine designed as a closed loop. Return of the water is clean. We can utilize for further cleaning. Our effluent water tank and also there to collecting all the coke particles will be emerged, and this will be directed to the effluent tank by the operator. Solid coke or sludge will be screened off by the filtration system and separated by the cokes. Finally, effluent water will be discharged into the client designated sewers. So once we identify the condition of the tube, like any mechanical obstructions, coke deposits, and the thickness of the coke, the operator will decide and launch the appropriated scraper pig for further cleaning. For example, if you take 6-inch tube ID, after done the initial flow test and the foam pig, operator will launch the 5.5 scraper pig, and then 5.75, and the next size will be the 6-inch exact size of the tube ID. So some of our clients actually approach us for the multi-dia tubes, like a vacuum heater tubes. So even we can do the decoking for this kind of tubes as well. But the pigs, because our pigs can be travel in 90 and 180 bends, even the plug header as well. But when come to the multi-dia tube, should be designed into the descending order, enable us to clean. So mechanical decoking can remove the toughest cokes and scale in that form in the industrial fire heaters and furnace and steam boilers and pipelines as well. So our operator will monitor and control the entire operation through the instruments such as the pressure gauges, flow meters, and the pressure chart recorder, and from the control panel. During this cleaning, if the operator notice any abnormal pressure spikes in the chart recorder or the flow drops in the flow meters at any location of the furnace tube, so the operator will stop the pig movement further and reverse the pig by operating the corresponding valves and as mentioned above. Because our system actually is a bidirectional system, so operator can front and backward can be operated. So at certain location there is a coke deposits, it can be cleaned. So by repeating the same method, the operator will drive the pig forward and backward in order to clean the particular location of the tubes. After a few minutes, what happened? The chart recorder or the flow meter shows the improvements in the cleaning. So this feature actually is enable us to determine the location of the coke, built it up. So you can see in the flowchart comparison. This graph actually shows the flow comparison before and after cleaning of the tube. This is the one of the evidence to show to the client how efficient our cleaning is. During the decoking process, operator will conduct the flow test in the different engine speeds like 1000 rpm, 1200 rpm, 1400 rpm. You can see in this chart, all the blue color indicates the flow rates before cleaning, and all the brown color indicates the flow rate after cleaning. And also you can see in the flow improvements after the cleaning. For example, when we running the engine speed at 1000 rpm, the flow is 448 GPM. And then after the cleaning, the flow rate is increased to 478. So when we run the engine at 1200, the flow rate is 570 GPM. Then after the decoking, it will increase to 620. So obviously it will increase the flow rate. So when come to the pressure comparison chart, it is also in the same way. You can see here the operator actually will also conduct the pressure test by using the engine RPMs rates. So in this chart actually we can see the pressure decrease after the cleaning. Based on this chart, actually we can moderate the coke formation was in the heater tube. Sometimes we can see in the big differences in the pressure if there is a thick coke deposit in the tube, like a half-inch thickness or 3/4 inch thickness. So all these flow and pressure comparison results will include in our final reports, and we will submit to the clients after completion of the job. So in the decoking process, the pig design play a significant role. Some of the service providers use the hardcore pigs, which has the hard tips bolted type pins. Is cause the deep scoring on the furnace tube internal. Short tipped bolted type pins does not collapse easily upon the contact with the hot surface. So it causes more damage on the tube wall. So what is our recommendation is we use the compressible pigs. These are made up of polyurethane, and there is a foam inside. Our pig material are compressible, and it has a appendage would be break off upon the hot contact with the metal surfaces. So this method actually is helped to decrease the likelihood of the scratches and further damages on the pipe internal surface. So a less damaged tube can be prolong the tube surface lifespan, thus extend the lifespan of the material, and it can improve the efficiency. So this appendage actually protruded out metal studs that are shuttle in the layer of coke. They are the removable upon the hot contact during the descaling process. Thus, it makes less prone to the damage of the tube internal surface. These compressible pigs are specially designed to protect the furnace tubes wall without any damages. You can see here there is a comparison before the decoking the pig and after decoking. So there is no evidence to damage the tube wall. You can see the pig comparison between the compressible pigs and hot carbide pigs. For example, the compressor pigs has a more compressible nature when comparing to the hardcore pigs, and there is no sharp edge when comparing to the solid carbide tips. But when come to the hardcore pigs, there is a rigid and it could be damaged the tube wall. So we recommended our clients to use the compressible pigs because of the design is flexible and it will compact with the tube IDs. Okay, here you can see in the difference actually in the hardcore pigs, we have a cross section and as well as the soft core as well. You can see in the actually the scrapper pigs are made from the tungsten tips with the hardcore and solid material. It causes more abrasive finishing to the tube internal surface. When come to the soft core pigs, it test results from our decoking system. Our scrapper pigs are actually using the soft core technology, which is reduce the internal tube damage, and our pig material is not solid. So there is a foam in the center, and the pig can be compressible. Okay, you can see in the when they're using the hard tip pigs, you can see the scratches into the tube internal. That's the reason actually we are using the compressible pigs. So this is the decoking results. This is the before decoking and this is after decoking. Sometimes we found the coke even 1 inch and more than that, sometimes the thickness. Okay, so these are some of the advantages about this system. The pigs actually can be navigate in the short radius, like even 90 degrees and 180 degrees bends, and the plug headers as well. The tube life extended without no internal damages. It can provide the 360-degree cleanliness coverage, the whole operation at ambient temperature, and proper effluent contamination and disposal. And additionally, the plant maintenance carried out during the decoking process. You no need to shut down the plant entire during the decoking process, and is completely chemical free and environmental friendly. So in the decoking process is a proven method to keep the tube clean from the coke and fouling. And today even the smart pigs came into the market to provide the tube ID inspection, help the plant owner to study further on the tube conditions. Sometimes the client requests us for the smart pig to be, which is we work with the third party to launch the smart pigs after dewatering. So a regular maintenance is to ensure the equipment in the working condition and help to prevent the emergency repairs. So this is all about the decoking process and cleaning. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A sections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Siva and Marina for sharing with us. Now I'd like to invite Siva and Kumaran from our Specialized Services Department to address questions that we have received. Okay, the first question you have received from Richard is, how much water consumption is required for the decoking operation? Kumaran, would you like to address this question?
Yes, thanks, Julia. Actually, it depends on the tube's condition and required cleaning hours and number of passes in the heater as well. So, however, it will be between 150 to 200 cubic meters per 1 12-hour shift, as you are performing 2 passes cleaning at the same time. You know, if there is a lot of coke inside the tubes, maybe we need much more water. I mean, if we perform the cleaning like 5 days, 6 days, then you have to utilize more water. I mean, every shift, 12-hour shift, we consuming 200 cubic meter.
Okay, thank you, Kumaran.
Yeah.
The next question from Dan is, what will happen when the pig gets lodged inside the furnace tube and doesn't move?
Yes, actually, usually it won't happen because our experienced operator will start the cleaning from the smaller size pig and gradually increasing to the actual size with the operating pressure between 150 to 200 psi. We are not inserting the pig exactly actual tube ID just when we start the pig cleaning. Okay, so in case sometime the pig gets lodged in the pressure range between 150 to 200 psi. Already Mr. Siva already explained. This is our machine is a closed loop system. Like we can direct the pig either way direction. I mean launcher to receiver, receiver to launcher. So in this case, when the pig get lodged, when the pig travel into launcher to receiver, then our operator will apply the pressure from the opposite direction. It means receiver to launcher. The pig's getting launcher in 150 or 200 psi, then we apply more pressure like 250 psi or 300 psi, we push it back, we retrieve back the pig. So no issue, we can remove the pig from the tubes.
Okay, thank you, Kumaran. Another question we have received is, what are the mechanical assistance required from clients?
Actually, we need before the clients hand over to us the equipment like heater, refinery heaters, they should remove all their own instruments like thermocouple, like pressure gauges, like spectacle blinds. There is some orifice plates. They should remove all the obstructions, to facilitate or to our pig running to launch a receiver. If not, our pig can go, then stop there. Then this is all the instruments they should remove. Then they have to cover all the flanges with the end blind, like appropriate end flanges, the end blind. This is the one. The second thing, they have to remove the spool pieces or like some elbows in the inlet and outlet, like gradient outlet or inlet, convection inlets. They should remove all the elbows and spool pieces to facilitate to for our picking launcher and receiver installation. Then the other thing, they have to remove all the obstruction is near to the inlets and outlets, like a handrail or monkey ladder, something like that. They should remove all the obstructions. Then only we can install the launchers easily. Then we can access to the launcher, like we launching the pick, receiving the pick. They should remove all the obstructions from the inlets and outlets. So these are the mechanical assistance usually we require from the client.
Okay, thank you, Kumaran. Another question we have received is, how do we ensure that there are no coke or debris in the effluent water discharged into client sewer?
Actually, so already Mr. Siva explained in his presentation, and then our machine equipped with 2 water tanks, like one clean water tank, the other one is effluent water tank. This effluent water tank consists of two filters, like one is strainer basket, is this the first primary filter will filter off all the big cokes or chunks, remove. Then the second one is the secondary filter. It will remove all the minor particles of the cokes. Then the thirdly, all the coke slides, like powder form coke, will be stored at the bottom of the effluent tank. So it means I can say all the big coke chunks, small debris, even the powder form, everything will be stored at the tank. Then we will discharge only the effluent water to the client sewer.
Thank you, Kumaran. Another question from Irfan is, how many pigs are used for one heater?
This also is depend the heater tube condition. If the heater tube is like half-inch thickness of coke, then of course we have to consume more pigs, like 20 to 30 pigs per heater. Per pulse. It means if the heater consumes the 8 passes, then we have to use around 200 pigs. If there is a moderate coke formation, like lesser amount of pigs we are consuming. It's depend the heater tube condition.
Okay, thank you, Kumaran. And we have another question. Okay, so that's about all the questions you have received for now. Let's see if there are other questions. Okay, there's...
Yeah. Is there a question about the medium to push the pig inside the tubes?
Yes, would you like to address that one?
Yeah, I think there's a question from Irvin asking what is the medium to push the pig inside the tubes. Okay, basically during the actual decoke process, we use water as the medium to push the pigs back and forth. And after that, if the client requires any specific dewatering, then we'll just use the compressed air to push the swab through to dewater the furnace tubes. I hope that answers Elvin's question.
Okay, thank you, Siva. Okay, for now, those are all the... Yes.
There is one question from Venkat. How about shell and heat tube heat exchangers can be done?
Yes, Kumaran, would you like to address that?
Yes, actually, we won't clean the shell and tube heat exchangers by using decoking method, but we guys are doing ultra high. It means water jet jetting, water pressure jetting. So we can clean shell and heat exchangers by using ultra high pressure water jetting. We are not using decoking method to clean heat exchanger, shell and tube.
Okay, thank you, Kumaran. We have another question from Albert. How many bends is allowed for this pigging system?
Yes, actually there is no problem. Our pig can enter like if more than 100 bends. Bends are not an issue for mechanical picking. Should be a short radius. That's it. Miter bend bit tricky. Then our pigs can enter all the bends, more than 100 bends. Bends no issue for mechanical decooking.
Okay, thank you, Kumaran. So that's all the questions you have received for now. So if we did not manage to address your questions or you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us at inquiry@man-xiong.com. We'll respond to your queries accordingly. The recording of this webinar will also be available for download via email. With that, I hope you enjoyed this webinar and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.